In this video, I'm going to talk about auditing functionality within the entire Microsoft Power Platform. Now, Power Platform basically contains an application like Power Apps, Power Pages, Power BI, Power Automate. Now, I'm mainly focused around Power Apps application and Dynamics 365 related apps hosted within the Power Platform environment. Auditing. Why auditing is required? Now, auditing is basically designed to meet the external and internal auditing capability. It allows you to set up some compliance, security, and governance policy. Many government organizations like federal government, state government, local government, and many other commercial organizations require to undertake some sort of auditing capability within their environment, like what is happening within their environment when they use some applications. So take for example, if there is an organization, say Contoso, and Contoso is has built some application, and now this is related to HR related application, and we would like to understand what how the users are using the application. So one is from a usage perspective, how the application is being used between different users. Second is if the user has made any actions like added a record, modified a record, deleted a record, or maybe some user might have mischievously done something which has impacted the application. So you can trace that as well. So these are some of the examples. Database auditing is supported on all the out of the box table or entity and custom and most customizable table and columns. Audit logs are purely stored in Dataverse and consume log storage capacity. Now, there are other ways through which you can offload the audit log into Microsoft Azure. Now, it can be stored in a storage account, and from storage account, you can generate various reports. Now, that's a topic for another day. Audit logs can be viewed in the audit history tab for a single record and in the audit summary view for all the audited operation in a single environment. So take for example, if you're building a model driven app, you can actually see which all fields have changed just by referring to the audit history tab. Audit logs can be retrieved using the web API or SDK for .NET. Now, mostly auditing is done for production environment. However, you can use it for development environment as well. Now, auditing will consume space, and that's the main reason it is done for production environment. And we would like to know who has changed what kind of table or who has performed what kind of actions within the production environment. However, in development environment, if many developers are working on the dev environment, and if you want to know who has changed the structure or the schema of the table, then you can turn that auditing in the dev environment as well. But it is highly recommended to be enabled for the production environment. What are the use cases for auditing? Now, audit logs help answers following questions. Who created or updated a record? Like say, if I have a contact table, then if I created some contact record, if I edited some contact record, or if I deleted some contact record, the system will let you know which fields in the record were updated, what was the old value, and what is the new value for the specific column, who was accessing the system and when. So this is about access rights. So who logged into the system, how it was being accessed, who deleted the record, which security rules were changed, which sharing privileges were invoked, who deleted the audit logs. Now, there are some things which you can do in Power Platform. There are many things which you can do in Power Platform with regards to auditing, but with regards to authentication and authorization, you will be able to see the information in Microsoft Azure as well. So in Microsoft Azure, there is a Azure Logs. So you can make use of Azure Logs to see how this authentication and authorization has happened within your application. But again, that's a topic for another day. We will just focus on Power Platform audit. Audit setting, these are the type of audit which you can do. One is system audit and user access audit. System audit is mainly related to all the batch jobs, all the workflow which is executing within the system. If you want to know whether the processes have been executed or it is in queued or it is in some hang state, then you can make use of that system audit. User access audit will be predominantly revolving around which user has accessed the records. You can retain the audit logs. The audit logs retainment options are 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. You can set it for 1 2 7 years, and you can set it for forever, or maybe you can pick up custom time period as well. What are some of the actions which you can audit is like creation, updation, deletion, access, upsert, archive. So upsert is basically update and insert, retain, rollback, retain, restore, custom operation. So you can basically track each and every actions within audit. Now, in order to understand audit, you need to first understand that it has to be in some sort of a hierarchy. First, enable the audit at an environment level, then enable audit at a table level, and then enable audit at a field level. Now, the good part is if you enable the audit at environment level and then at table level, all the columns within the table will be audited. Now, you need to selectively go into each and every table and remove the field enable audit for that specific column if you do not want all the columns to get audited. So, which I'm going to demonstrate in a while. XRM tools for audit. Now, these are some of the XRM tools which has been built by the community, and these are awesome tools. People have really spent a lot of time understanding how to view the plugin traces, define the audit settings, audit history rollback, or extracting the audit history, how the data restoration has worked from an audit perspective. Then there is a recyclement component, user audit viewer, restore deleted records, so on and so forth. So there's an amazing bunch of XRM toolbox available within the application. I have just listed some of them. Configure audit. So there is an old interface and then there is a new interface. So if you see over here, this is an old interface whereby you start the auditing. You say, for this particular environment, I want to start the auditing. I want to audit the user access as well. So that means trace which user has accessed which component. Start read auditing. So reading again is a specific checkbox available for you to audit the read actions. On if you see the screen over here, this is specific to one of the field. So as I mentioned to you, when you enable it at a table level, which is on the right hand side, here you need to navigate to the table and then there is an option for auditing under data services. You need to turn this on. Once you turn this on, you go into any of the field and then auditing will be enabled. Now you can disable specific field as well. From a new interface perspective, again, going back to environments, going to the settings, audit and log. Here you can set the audit frequency. You can retain the log. You can turn on some switches, and then from here you can even navigate to the old interface. This is how the column looks like. So this is on the right hand side, there is a column. So there is a table called as world, and the world has a column, basically countries. Now, for from a table perspective, I need to turn this on, turn the table level auditing, and then go to the column and then either enable or disable this auditing. So this way, I can start tracing what is happening within the record. Audit traces. So what happens once you turn on the audit? You will actually know what is happening. So if you go into the backend, here I will show you. Now, in this example, if you see this example, what it says is uh, I have created a record called as Hungary. Okay. And these are the values which I have created. So audit has traced it. Who is the owner? What is the status? And what are the values which you have put? Now, I have even updated the record. So here the old value was nothing and I have put the denomination and population for this particular record. So it gives you a create instance. It will give you an update value and you can view all this information. Now, this one is basically how the user is accessing the system. Now, you as a user is like will be accessing tables, records, or setting system level settings. But in the backend, system may also run some workflows processes. Those all needs to be audited, and those all information can be accessible in the change history section. Now, what are the audit actions which you can do? You can trace, create, update, delete, access, upset, archive, retain, rollback, retain, and all those things you can do from an audit action perspective. So, what we are doing over here is I'm navigating to the Power Platform Admin Center. I'm in one of the environments in Girish Dev. I will click on say settings. If I navigate to the settings, under settings, you will see audit and log. If you go to audit and log, click on audit settings, and from here you can turn on start auditing, log access, read logs, enable data was long-term retention. So log access, if you see log whenever the system is accessed, generally by signing in. So any sign in process you can track. read logs, this logs will be sent to Office 365, which I'm going to cover at the end of this video. Now what happens is, like, read log will basically track whatever information is getting read by the system. Sorry. So this will allow you to basically view the logs in Microsoft Purview portal. You can retain data was long-term retention and retain this log for X amount of days. So you can custom pick whatever days you want to set this. Now, once you turn all this on, this is environment level auditing. You're just turning on the environment level auditing. If you click on global audit settings, if you see this icon, it will take you to the old interface. Now with the old interface, again, same set of settings. Let me show you here. So let me go back to audit settings, and here you can see the same interface: start auditing, audit user access, start read auditing, enable auditing in following areas, common entities. So these all things we can set. Now you're setting it from a uh, environment perspective. Okay. Now let's go into the backend. So if I go into the backend, so under setting, now how to go into the backend, you can navigate to say under from Power Platform, you'll not be able to go into the backend. However, from a global audit settings, if you click on global audit setting, it will take you to the backend interface. However, if you want to actually see all the menus within the application, you can navigate to any of your model driven apps. So say, take for example, this is a model driven app. I can navigate to the advanced settings, and from advanced settings, I can go to customizations. Okay. Now here I can customize the system. Now I'm going into the backend just to show you how it is done from a table or field level. So this is a old way of working. Okay. So if you go into the backend, go into the default solution, go into the entities. Now my table name is called as world. So let's go into the world table. This is the world table. We close this under general section. So I'm in general section. This is the table world. Here, I can see that under data services, there is something called as auditing. So I'll turn this on. I want to track whatever is happening within this particular table. So I have turned on the auditing. Once I'm done with it, I'll click on save. And once it is saved, I'm going to publish this customization because it's very much essential to publish all the customization. But we are not going to publish it now. I will just show you how to enable a at a column level as well. So if you go to the field, so remember I told you that when you turn on auditing at table level, it will by default enable for all the fields within your table. So there are so many table fields over here. So if I go into say gear capital, this is one of the field. Now from a field level perspective, I can even turn on and enable or disable the auditing. So I can either enable or disable. So let's do one thing. For all the column it is enabled. However, for say gear underscore contact, I will just disable it. So it is disabled for gear underscore contact. All good. Click on publish all customization. Once you do that, uh, those changes will be reflected within the backend. So let it publish. Now, from a table perspective, I'll show you how the table will look like. Say if in the modern interface, if you go into the table, so let me go into the world table. Now I'm the make.powerapps.com interface. From a table perspective, whenever you create a table or whenever you edit a table, you navigate to the properties. From the properties, you'll see this information. Click on advanced options, and from here, you can turn on the auditing for that particular table. Audit changes to its data. So this is enabling at a table level. Now, once you enable that, so let me show you whether it is enabled or not. Again, going back here, and the changes which you have made is reflected over here. So that's good. Going back to the column, so let's pick up any column. So if I go to capital column, now here, if I want to turn on the auditing, it is already enabled for auditing. However, we have seen that for contact, it was not enabled. We have purposefully disabled it. We don't want to trace or we don't want to track, and that's why it is not enabled. If you hover mouse over here, it says enable auditing info for that specific column. So what we have done, we have enabled the table level auditing and column level auditing, and we have disabled for some records. All this is good. If you go into the backend under settings, so let me unzoom this. Under settings, you will see two options: plugin trace log, solution history, and system jobs and auditing. So if I click on system jobs, Here you will see whatever thing is happening from a system perspective. Now, system jobs are basically all the system events like Copilot feature plugin execution, it is succeeded. If I navigate to execute async request, which is related to import solutions, that is succeeded. Then calculate role of field. So this is all system level event. These all things you can actually test. Now, from a filter perspective, if I click on filter, then I should be able to filter out based on various parameters. So let me refresh this. Now here all the filtering will happen. So if I click here, then I can see say system job type. So if I want to see all the system job type, I'll be able to view all this information from here. Now there are so many events. Now this is a system level event. It has nothing to do with the table. Next option, if you want to see what is happening from a plugin tracing perspective, you can log into plugin trace logs. And then if you have various plugins getting executed, then you can view all the recorded information. Another way to navigate different information is if you go to settings, then if you go to auditing, this is the place where you can see the audit summary view, audit log management, global audit settings, which we have already seen, whereby you can enable auditing at a table level, entity and field auditing at a table and a column level. And if I see audit summary view, so from a audit summary view perspective, I can see various operations. So what are the various operations over here is, if you see, like you can filter this out, and from here you can actually see the operation. So what are the different operations you can operate on? You can see the information on create, update, delete, upset, archive. So if you just want to see whatever things have deleted from the system, you can click on delete and you can see that so many information has been deleted by the system. Who has deleted it? Okay, let's see this information. Who has deleted it? So Girish has deleted something. Now Girish has deleted a value called as Kuwait city on 24th of the 3rd. So this auditing was enabled and Girish has tracked it, and on 24th of March Girish has done this action. So we can trace who has done all those actions. So like this you can basically track. So let me remove the filter, and again go from here. I will go into settings, and then let me show you from an auditing perspective audit log management. So from an audit log management perspective, you can actually see how you want to keep those information. So you can also delete the audit logs. Now if you see here in the screen, it allows you to delete log to free up storage capacity. So this is very much important if you want to delete log from a table perspective. So like if you want to delete say account related logs, you can select or action card or attachment, then you can select, and then it will select a delete log from table perspective. Or you can delete access related logs by people and system, or you can delete from a date range. So our logs up to and including the selected dates. So if you want to delete log from 12th of the March, then you can delete that as well. Now, how to access that? If you navigate to your environment, then environment, there is an auditing section. Here you can manage, and here you can delete the audit logs. Okay, so it will take you to that same screen. Now we have done all these things. What is the use of it? Okay, if you do not use it properly. So this is a simple application, World app, which I have created. It is nothing fancy. It has a world table in it. It has countries, it has capital, account, contact, and some information. Now let me add a new record. So if I add a new record, and I'll call this as country as Singapore, and Singapore city, and I'll pick up some contacts, and I'll put some population value and denomination, so maybe dollar. Click on save, and save and close. So I have added a record, Singapore. Now I will delete New Zealand Wellington. I don't want this record. I'll delete this record. And for USA, I'm gonna remove this Washington DC, and I'll call it as District Columbia. I'll make some amends. Okay. I'll select some contact record. So basically I'm adding the contact and account, and I'll clicking on save. Now there are many things which we have done over here, and user can do various things. If you want to see what has actually happened, you can actually navigate to the records. Okay, how it is traced from a access perspective. Now if you see under audit summary view, so I'm in audit summary view. If I refresh this, it will show me that these are the records which have been undergone some actions. Now how to view audit summary view, I showed you, right? So let me show you from here. Audit summary view, so you go to settings, go to auditing. From auditing you will see four options and select one of the options, audit summary view. Okay, Girish has done some action against that record Singapore. So if you click here, you will come to know that okay, Girish has added, uh, has created basically Singapore record, added capital, countries, denomination, population, and so on and so forth. So it will take some default values as well, even if you have not added in the system. I'll close this. Girish has deleted a record. Which record Girish has deleted? Girish has deleted the Wellington record, New Zealand. That is also tracked. And what is the date and time? Now it has picked the current date and time for me, and it is doing pretty much fine because it has taken my time zone value. Now you can also set time zone based on your location within Dynamics 365. If I want to see what record has been updated, you can see all this information over here. So this is how you basically track the auditing information. Okay, simple thing. Go to settings, go to auditing. From here, auditing, you select audit summary view. If you click on audit summary view, you will be presented with that table. And now if you see here, user access record has been created. It says the user started accessing Dynamics on so and so date and time through the Outlook hosted application. So it tracks all the access information as well. Okay. Now that's all about auditing. Now I've shown you one component, like say in this setting, in say global, say if I go to settings, and here I have something called as audit settings, audit summary view, entity and field settings, system jobs. From here I went to the audit settings, and here I navigated to the global settings. From here, the global audit settings, here you can configure from a user perspective or environment perspective what to audit, but how this auditing is linked to Microsoft 365. So if you navigate to a URL called as purview.microsoft.com. Now, if you have enabled auditing from a Microsoft 365 perspective, then you will be able to view this information. What Purview does, Purview has two portal, new portal and classic portal. I'll show you how this portal looks like. So you can navigate to the go to classic portal from here, or let me show you how the classic portal looks like. So classic portal has a compliance portal and the governance portal, and you can navigate to and fro. So I'll just close this window, and I will go into one of the URL called as compliance.microsoft.com. Now from here, if you navigate to audit, compliance.microsoft.com, which will take you to the Purview application. And if you click on audit, here you can configure like what all actions has been initiated from the entire Power Platform perspective. So it can be Power Automate, Power Apps, Power Platform, Power BI, SharePoint, and many other applications. You need to put start date and time range. So if I want to know what has happened from March, say maybe Feb 1st till say Feb 28th, I can search from a keyword perspective, or I will say any audit trace related to Girish or Edel. I'll select the users. And what are the activities friendly name? What I want to track. Now, if you see this list, this is comprehensive. If you want to see file and page activities, if you want to see DLP related actions, if you want to see Power Apps related action, Azure related actions, all this thing you can do. See Power BI report. Now, from here, if I just slowly scroll this, you can track who created the workspace in Power BI, how the dataset table has been created, who deleted the deployment pipeline. Power BI is like there are so many things which you can do from a Power BI perspective. I just want to show you from a Power Apps perspective how the Power Apps, what all things you can track from a Power Apps perspective. Now here, if you see from a Power Apps perspective, you can track who created an app, who edited an app, who deleted an app, who launched an app, who has exported users data record, who has created the channel from a stream perspective. So you can view whole bunch of things. You can view who has initiated the logbox access request or deleted DLP or updated DLP policy. All those things. If you are ready with this is the query. Click on search. So what happens? It will go in that queue mode. So once you search this, as you see over here in the bottom, this record is now queued. Now it will take some time for your audit trace to be recorded and generated. So what the query is, basically I just want to find out in the Feb month for Girish and Adele, what has happened from a Power Apps perspective. Now ahead of time I have created one search result and it has returned a result of 4225. Now if I just show you this information, what it searched for, so I can just click on this record, and from here you can actually see what all things have changed. It will also show you all the IP addresses, the user, record type, activity. So now here on 30th of March it is showing me that Girish has edited the flow. So that's Microsoft Flow. So I've turned on that Microsoft Flow capability. Now Alex has launched an app. So here I can see those information, which app was opened, so like the Easter app, what is the environment display link. So you can get whole bunch of information. You can export this information, you can filter out this information, and you can do a lot of things from a management perspective. Now here there are user login information as well. So if I double click on this, it will show you user has logged in. And if you want to know more detail, what was the user agent, what is the browser, what authentication authorization was used. So all this kind of information you can see from here, and you can even classify from a user record type activity perspective, and it's a huge list. Okay, so make sure that when you turn on the audit, it is only important to turn on the audit from a production perspective, because if you start auditing everything, then it might consume a lot of space. So that's it, folks. That's all about the entire auditing functionality within Microsoft Power Platform. Thanks for watching.